Putin Bad News. Britain will provide funding for the Ukraine uranium deal in an effort to further isolate Putin. To isolate Vladimir Putin even more, Britain is funding an enriched uranium deal to keep Ukraine's nuclear power plants running through the winter. The new deal, announced on Wednesday, will see Downing Street guarantee a £192 million loan in an effort to reduce power outages in Ukraine. Urenco, based in the UK, will be able to continue supplying enriched uranium to Energodom, which operates 15 power plants in Ukraine, with this agreement. This came after Russia's blatant targeting of Ukraine's energy infrastructure during its full-scale invasion last winter. Energy Security Secretary Grant Shapps visited a nuclear power plant in Ukraine this week that was damaged in an attack by Russia. He wrote in The Telegraph that the energy independence that will result from the financial deal will be a blow to the Russian president. He penned, "Last winter, Ukrainians stood resolute against a barrage of blackouts, never knowing if the lights would stay on or if they could keep their homes warm in sub-zero temperatures. We've helped them out when they've needed repairs, and now what we're doing will lead to a financing deal for £192 million worth of nuclear fuel. This will improve Ukraine's ability to weather the winter by providing essential fuel for the country's power plants. Furthermore, it will cut off their reliance on Russian supplies, further isolating Putin." The United Kingdom's efforts to aid Ukraine's military in their fight against Putin's forces and the country's subsequent recovery are worthy of national pride. Russia has been using energy as a military weapon. Under Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak, Westminster has maintained its support for Ukraine's resistance to Russia's invasion. Keeping the lights on has been a major challenge for Ukraine due to its historical reliance on Russian energy imports and the Kremlin's willingness to target energy supplies during the war. Over half of Ukraine's electricity comes from nuclear power, but it's becoming increasingly difficult for these plants to operate with Russian-enriched uranium. Business between Urenco and Energodom dates back to 2009, and with this agreement, Urenco will increase its supply of enriched uranium to Energodom. The CEO of Urenco, Boris Schucht, has expressed his company's continued concern for the situation in Ukraine, saying, "Our thoughts are with the people suffering as a result of the conflict." To ensure energy independence and security of supply in Ukraine, we have provided support to our customer, Energodom, and its employees since the start of the invasion, the company said. He continued, "We are actively discussing longer-term supply with Energodom and are ready to play our part in supporting their future. We can meet the current demand for uranium enrichment services and have the ability to expand our capacity to offer a more competitive product worldwide." Collaboration from governments, such as the UK with this agreement, is critical to facilitate this, as well as with customers and the wider nuclear industry, and we will continue to do all that we can to play a valuable role. Mr. Shapps followed the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary James Cleverly, and the Defence Secretary Ben Wallace in visiting Ukraine. He conferred with Energodom's president, Petro Kotin, as well as Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister for Restoration, Alexander Kubrakov, and Energy Minister, German Galushenko, to finalize the deal. Zaporizhzhia, the largest power plant in Europe, is located in Ukraine and is under Russian control, causing ongoing security concerns. Reports of intentional Russian attacks on water supplies that help power the plant have caused temporary panic that the facility's operation is in jeopardy. If these were attempts to influence control or genuine disruption, the reason behind them remains unknown. Mr. Shapps was one of many British politicians who opened their homes to Ukrainian refugees after the invasion as part of the government's Homes for Ukraine program. Mr. Shapps wrote, "I heard about this terrifying ordeal firsthand from Snezhana Chekina, her young son Nikita, and his grandmother Hannah, who stayed with my family for a year following the invasion under the Homes for Ukraine scheme. They were residents of Kyiv when Putin launched his indiscriminate bombardment, forcing them to take refuge in a makeshift bomb shelter in the building's cellar. I can't stress enough how much my family and I have been influenced by spending time with this remarkable family and hearing their story.